In our second example, we have a slightly more complicated position time graph, and you're being asked to find the total distance, total displacement, average speed for the total trip, average velocity for the total trip, and the average velocity from 8 to 12 seconds. As usual, to find the total distance, I usually like to begin by figuring out exactly how far these objects moved. So I see it didn't move at all for the first 4 seconds, then it went down 10, didn't go anywhere from 6 to 8, it went down 5 from 8 to 10, it went down 10 from 10 to 14, and from 14 to 18, it went up 20. I just did that by reading the y-axis and figuring out exactly how far that object moved. The total distance, therefore, would just be all those values added up, ignoring positives and negatives. So 0, 10, 0, 5, 10, and 20, sum to give 45 meters. If I want to find the total displacement, I'm going to add the same values, but I have to account for positives and negatives. So the 10, the 5, and the 10 become negative, and that changes the final answer to negative 5 meters. That object ended 5 meters beneath where it began. I could have also just looked at the starting location of 15, the ending location of 10, and if I subtract final minus initial, I will also get negative 5. Both of those are acceptable methods. To find the average speed, I'm just going to take the distance that I found from part A, which is 45 meters, and divide it by the total time, which was 18 seconds. And that's how I got my 2.5 meters per second. To find my average velocity for the total, I'll do the same thing, but it's displacement divided by time. So negative 5 divided by 18 gives me kind of an odd value, but negative 0.28 meters per second. And for those that prefer the other method, I could also just draw a straight line from start to end point, identify those coordinates at the end, and just calculate the slope. And I'm still going to get negative 0.28 meters per second. Either one of those is acceptable. And for the very last part, if I want to find just the average velocity between 8 and 12 seconds, I just have to once again recognize what's going on from 8 to 12, and I can do this two different ways. I could use the equation, and I could say that the displacement, well, it's negative 5 from 8 to 10, and then another negative 5 from 10 to 12. So I go a total of negative 10 over the 4 seconds that occur between 8 to 12, and that's how I can find my average velocity of negative 2.5 meters per second. I can also just identify 2 points and calculate the slope because it's literally just that one constant slope from 8 to 12. And if I go ahead and do that, you'll find that the slope is negative 2.5. Either one is acceptable. Once again, whatever you think is easiest, whatever you prefer.